Welcome, and thanks for tuning in. I'm Lynn Berger, host of Lynn Berger Interviews Remarkable People. And today I have the pleasure of interviewing Maureen Langan. Maureen is an international stand-up comedian, award-winning broadcaster, a TEDx Talk speaker, and corporate host. Also, I have been privileged to learn how gifted, talented she is. She has a quick wit, she's authentic, and very kind. So welcome, Maureen.
I just laughed because I hear my Irish mother, Lynn, over my shoulder. Oh, she's remarkable. Sure, she's remarkable. I'll tell you how. It's so the antithesis of an Irish family to say anything good about yourself. So to hear it, I just laugh. Okay.
Well, keep laughing. Well, we're gonna go on a journey today, and the journey is your career and the decisions you made. Okay.
All right, well, bring a flask of whiskey for this journey.
I'm laughing already. Okay, so why don't you take me back to when you were a journalist and tell me about how you became a journalist, what your highlights were of being a journalist, and then we'll just move forward.
Well, you know, I was always torn between being a broadcaster and a comedian, and I'll tell you more about that later. But I worked as a documentary producer for public television and a news writer, freelance, bopping around the different television stations in New York City. And then I got hired by Bloomberg Television Radio, right when Michael Bloomberg, they say he killed Frank Sinatra because the old station used to play Frank Sinatra, and he bought, I think, WNEW it was at the time. So he hired me to be one of his original broadcasters. And when we were doing mock newscasts before we launched the station, before we went, you know, it was all launched, he was like, Langan's the only one with a sense of humor. You want to create your own beat. Wow. And it was great. Yeah. Well, I sat next to him. So he didn't like tie your hands. He was very much like, you want to do it? Don't screw it up. Let's see how it goes, which is a really good way. I think it's innovative. And that's some of what I talk about in my keynote speaking is if you let people be a bit of a rebel rouser or, you know, that type of person, that they can achieve things. So he said, just go for it. So I started doing commentary, man on the street, celebrity interviews, and satirizing world news. And I was there for 7 years and was a commentator and a host. So that's what I was able to do. And then when I believe at that time, unbeknownst to everyone at the time, but it was, you know, there was this, we knew that he was starting to plant the seeds for running for mayor. So of course, what happens when that happens, you get the friggin' focus groups all come in and decide who they don't like on the air. So even though I had been an award-winning broadcaster and commentator, now doing the immigrant update with my Irish mother, all of a sudden that's too controversial. You know what I mean? You can't go out and do who makes the better corned beef, the Irish or the Jews, with my father, a sanitation worker. It's not in keeping with this kind of corporate image. This is what I believe. But Mike Bloomberg was great to me. He was really generous, really wonderful, I think. To me, he was, and to those, I think overall to those around us, tough at times, but very fair. So he hired a new program director to oversee this transition. Mm-hmm. And this was really a turning point for me when the suit comes in and he holds a meeting in the conference room, with, you know, and he's pacing back and forth and talking to me. And he said to me first that I had to take down my life-size poster of Fabio, which Michael Bloomberg had given me because Fabio picked me up in his arms. I was running marathons then, a lot later, picked me up. Somebody snapped a picture and Michael Bloomberg had it made into this huge poster. So that's the kind of sense of humor and fun we had. So this new guy comes in and he goes, you have to take down Fabio. It's not in keeping with our new corporate image. And I said, you want me to kill Fabio? Really? You want me to kill Fabio? I got to kill Fabio. Like even my speaking that way to him was probably absurd to this new suit. So he's pacing the conference room and he says, well, you know, we're going in a different direction and we want you to do reports on retirement funds for seniors. I don't know what he was talking about. So he goes, after 20 minutes of his pacing and doing his pitch, he goes, so what do you think? I go, may I speak freely? Of course. I said, I'd rather stick pins in my eyes.
Good for you.
I know, you're not supposed to talk that way in corporate America.
Well, while you were there, you won an award. I read all about your award.
I won a number of awards, Lynn, a number. Doesn't matter, because that was what was right for that time. And it went in a different direction because of different reasons. So I did, and I enjoyed it. And it was a building block of 7 great years of being there. And
Well,
I'm
7-year itch, right? Then,
wow.
so then what happened?
So, Mike Bloomberg said to me, "Listen, you have a job here for life." I said, "I know, but
Oh,
yeah, he was great." I go, "But I need a career. I got to get at it. I can't do this. Do you know what this guy wants me to do?" And he goes, "I'm sorry, Maureen. I know we're going in a bit of a different direction." I said, "Yeah, I can't." So I started doing stand up at night, because if you're a commentator and you're able to write and put your take on things out there, it's hard. You can't put that back in. It's hard once you've opened up to that extent. So I started hitting the stage, and that's what I did.
but is that something you wanted to do like earlier on and you didn't have the opportunity or the guts, if that was it, or?
Lynn, I had the guts, but apparently not. I did it when I was right out of college, when I was 21, 22. And I did a workshop at the New School of Social Research with a great comedian named Stephen Schaefer, who's still making the rounds, a really good guy. Got up at a little place, and I thought I was going to throw up. And there was no audience. It was just a smattering of people at this bar. And I'm like, I can't. So it took me 15 years to go back. Yeah.
Really?
Mm,
Wow. So were you frightened? Were
mm,
you,
mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
did,
That's why you want to throw up. It's not because I
well,
ate
did it
that
feel
burger.
like it wasn't the right thing? You really wanted to do it, or you just,
I think the writing was good, and there was encouragement. I just didn't realize how frightening it would be and how vulnerable. And there's like, you're at a bar for the first time, and there's like maybe 15 people. Just, you don't know how to work an audience. You don't know how to deliver your material to these
sure.
people. It's part of the learning curve. So yeah, but once, when I revisited it, you realize when people, if you wait for the fear to go away, you have to go up feeling like that until, and then just it lessens. But there's always a heightened sense, even today, if you perform.
Mhm. Well, there's a book called, and I love it, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. It's
Yeah,
like
you
the
have to.
classic, you have to, right?
Yeah, because it won't go away. You just have to do it. But the thing, Lynn, this is the thing, like both worlds, it's so odd because neither one of those worlds fits me perfectly.
Mm,
Just to be, I mean, I'm talking seriously to you. Like, I'm not trying to be on or funny, whatever emerges naturally, I like
mm-hmm,
chat about.
mm-hmm.
But I love the depth of a journalist, and I like the thinking, but yet I like humor and wit and the ridiculousness of what's out there, and you should be able to acknowledge it. And I can't like not acknowledge it. But I like the kind of comics like the Carlins who are able to go to those places. I'm not a circus clown. There's a difference.
Well, we briefly spoke before the interview that this is very common, that, to find one thing that's going to satisfy all pieces of you is kind of
Mhm.
difficult, or if not impossible. So at different points in your life, you're able to, quote, act out the best parts of you. And a lot of people don't understand that.
Well, to look, I've always kept my foot in broadcasting. I had a talk show for 7 years in San Francisco that I could do from wherever I was traveling, because I live in New York City, but I could go to their sister station in Manhattan and do my radio show there. It was a weekend show. So I love that, because you can be ridiculous sometimes, but then you can talk about something really important about, children of undocumented parents, and you can talk about foster care and what children need there when they're leaving the system, or you can just talk about ridiculous clips that happened in the news that week and rip on them. So I like all of that. It's just the gamut from alcoholics to academics, I say.
When you were becoming, or are, this internationally acclaimed comedian, what have been your highlights? What do you like to do?
As a performer, as a stand-up,
Mhm.
oh, well, for me, the first thing that comes to mind is just traveling to different places and seeing different sensibilities and meeting different people and being in different cultures. That's what I like the best. Having traveled to South Africa, to me, was one of the best experiences ever. Just to be in Johannesburg, post-apartheid, and this is what I did my TEDx talk about.
Yes, yes, I want to, yes, please. Yeah, that was wonderful. I tell everyone to please go to, would you like to give your website address so I don't get it wrong?
MaureenLangan.com. Once again, Maureen Langan, LANGAN.com.
A-N, yes,
All A's all the time.
yes,
LANGAN.
because I once went to E-N and I didn't find.
No, you just said it. Now people are going to get screwed up. You just
No.
added something they didn't need to know, Lynn. You gave them information. It's like saying, can I have coffee with no sugar? The barista here, sugar, they put it in, even though you said no sugar. You just screwed it up. All A's, LANGAN. No, but, being in, I think, I don't pretend to know any of the political underpinnings of South Africa. I would be, I don't know what people have to deal with on an ongoing basis. I don't know their day-to-day politics there. But what I do know is performing in the Johannesburg Comedy Festival and being side by side with comedians who become lifelong friends now. But to just talk to them and say, wow, we couldn't have been on the show together a generation or two ago. And they said, not only could we not have been on this stage together, we could not have been in the same city together unless I had proper permit papers to be in this city. Because I was strolling arm in arm with one of the fellas, an African man. So here you have you're just strolling, come on, let's get to the gig. And you think about how foreboding that would have been, in the 90s. Apartheid only ended in the year 94, 95, 90, in the 90s. Let's say in the 90s, I don't remember the exact date. So I thought about how people were coming together. And I looked out in the audience, and I say this in my TED Talk, it was just a sea of all different types of people. And I thought to myself, here in America, where if you're a certain age, you're out. It's a predominantly, there are things that are male dominated, though I know men are getting upset that they're not having that the way it was. You're not accepted for so many different reasons if you don't fit a style or a type in our country in general. So I thought, why do we willingly cut each other off when there's so much more to be had together? And we're still doing it. And I don't understand that.
Yes, that TED Talk was wonderful. It has a lot of wit in it, but it also has a tremendous amount of meaning. And, in the best of circumstances, we should all be leveraging the best parts of ourselves whenever and wherever, and you made the point very well that age is something that's kind of arbitrary in a way.
We have no choice over it.
Well,
I mean, it's not like,
yeah, well, it's better than the alternative, right? I mean, yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, I use age as one example, but you wonder today if Julia Child, who wrote her first cookbook, published at 50, would that happen today with this woman who looked kind of whack, she looked a little dowdy, let us say, or you just look at who made it. Like, I think Vera Wang, the designer, began her career in her 40s, or really got big in her 40s. Rodney Dangerfield made it later in life. But you just think, like, I did a TV pilot. This is funny, Lynn. I think so. I did a television pilot with a wonderful woman who's done a lot of producing for MTV, Lonnie Newman. She did Bert the Conqueror. She's done a lot of really good work. And we produced a pilot called Mo Goes, which is about the journalist by day and the comic by night. So when I go to these different places, yes, I'm hitting the stage at night in South Africa or Cape Town, but by day, maybe I'm going to the Apartheid Museum. And what do I find there that's interesting, but I can flip it and maybe find humor or something, to comment on that brings us together in maybe mutual disdain for how we treated each other. But anyway, so we were going to be, that was it, Mo Goes, fun, heart, smart, by day a journalist, and by night the comedian. By the way, that demo, Mo Goes, is on YouTube, by the way, big producer out there.
Oh, please visit. Yes. And the TED Talk. Oh, wow.
Oh, you make me, thank you.
Now, how was it to create that YouTube, the TED Talk?
Well, it's interesting. I got very fortunate because I write alone. I'm a lone wolf. but the person who asked me to do it knew me anyway. So she said, Maureen, there's a fellow on the board who graduated high school ahead of you, who also turned out to work at Bloomberg, but after you. So he graduated high school before me, came to Bloomberg after me. He wants to work on it with you.
Oh,
And I was a little reluctant because when you work with, then he was magic. Phil Kuntz, amazing. And we worked together and he helped me how you focus it for a TED Talk. So I was very fortunate to have that guidance. It's amazing.
no, it was excellent. I mean, I've listened to quite a few TED Talks, and that one, I just love the humor and also the depth. And, as my work is as a career counselor, I mean, a lot of it really hit the points of how people are feeling and what their options are. And I believe the options are endless. It's how you look at it and who your audience is to be able to hear what you have to say.
You just hit it. You just hit it. And Lynn, you're a very astute woman. People should go to Lynn Berger for career counseling. I'm telling you, it's who your audience is. And that's what we have to find, at any age or whatever your point of view is. That's how you connect. There are so many people out there who want to hear what you have to offer, or perhaps want to hear my take or my humor.
Mhm.
It's finding them and connecting with them, not putting them on a shelf and deciding it's over. Phyllis Diller. I mean, there's so many talented, wonderful people of all different walks. What we decide it's over for them, but it's finding your audience, and they're out there. They are out there.
Absolutely. I think that's very encouraging and very true. And people need to realize that.
That's
And,
why we're here to tell them. We have to tell them, Lynn. They
and
have to.
we're living proof, living proof.
But things are different now too, Lynn. We're in a different, I'm calling it the post-pandemic, even though we're not fully post.
No, I think we're getting there, hopefully.
The pre-post pandemic,
Yes.
the pre-post pandemic phase. You're a career counselor. Things are different. It's not going to be the same. It's different.
It was really a pause button that for some, there was a lot of pain and a lot of sadness. And it was a time for people to stop. When did you ever stop? When did anyone ever stop like that?
Well, I laugh because even in this, I haven't stopped. Revamping the white website, focusing the TED Talk on corporate speaking and keynote speaking, because people want entertaining messages about diversity and inclusivity. But what do you find? I mean, you're a career coach. What are you seeing? Is there an overall theme that you're seeing in people, or a shift away from certain things towards certain other things?
Well, I think people are beginning to see that if they didn't want to do what they did before, maybe they need to take more action. They're taking their lives more seriously. And a lot of people that didn't have to go into an office and see certain people every day found it comforting, and they don't want to go back.
It is comforting not seeing people. You see my shirt, "Don't make me hate you."
I love it.
But I'm all about love. I don't want to hate people. They make me hate them. I just start out loving everyone, and then you screw it up by what you do or say. That's what happens.
Well, I want to spend some time talking about your podcast, because I have made a new friend. I walk Central Park every day, pretty much, and I have been listening to your podcast lately, and they have become my new friend. And you have great interviews, you have great guests. I have listened to a few of them, in particular, Joan Hamburg and Alan Zweibel and Sandra Joseph, and a little bit of others. I don't have all the time in the world, but I have loved what I have listened to date, and I will continue. How has that been for you?
So I just want to say the name of the podcast is Hangin' with Langan.
Yes.
Again, necessity. As soon as this lockdown happened, I'm like, I'm going to go out of my skin. So that's taking the two worlds together. It's taking the curiosity of a journalist and hopefully the wit of a comic, and giving a show that's fun, heart, and smart. So I really miss Joan Hamburg. And to me, she's the radio queen, and to many. And what she has is a general interest radio show.
Mhm.
Her show isn't about pitting people of different political viewpoints against each other, though I have my strong political viewpoints, and there are some shows that might get a little bit more. But in general, I want to bring in people that just interest me. So Alan Zweibel, an original Saturday Night Live writer, best friends of Gilda Radner, who happens to be godmother to his 3 children, or somebody like Sandra Joseph, who played Christine in Phantom of the Opera on Broadway, the longest running leading lady in the longest running show on Broadway, gorgeous, gracious, down to earth. And then we might have somebody talking about healthcare, or just, have a panel of my comedy friends who have had little appearances on The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Yes, I listened a little. Yes.
Yeah, so that was really my radio show that I did in San Francisco.
What I love about them is they were conversations, and you spoke about, deep things and people's beliefs, etc. But it was done in a very nice way. And I'm sure people around the Reservoir of Central Park heard me laugh. Like, there were moments that I laughed. And, hanging with Langan, that's basically what I did for the last few days. It was I recommend people to listen to that. And I just want to spend a few minutes on what's next for you. Where do you want to put your energies?
Well, where I am putting well, of course, I'm still performing. I have gigs on the books, yay, comedy gigs in Manhattan, around the country now. So Knockwood, those are just starting to pick up. And I have my comedy special, Don't Make Me Hate You, coming out on Dry Bar Comedy, which is a platform, Dry Bar Comedy. And then that's coming out this summer. But also where I'm putting a lot of my effort is in focusing the TED Talk, focusing my solo show, which was called Daughter of a Garbage Man, focusing on corporations, organizations who want events. Some want them really funny and like let your hair down and go wild, and some are a little more buttoned up. But if they get so many keynote speakers that are freaking boring. So this, I hope to take the TED Talk and work with corporations to tailor it to their needs. What do they need? And I also do a lot of media training too, because a lot of these CEOs or spokespeople or faculty at universities get called upon to be a pundit or a commentator on a major network or a local network. They have the knowledge, but they're so frozen with how to get the message across or how to prepare to be on air on radio or television or public speaking. So I help them with that.
Great. I would love to go to a conference where you're a keynote speaker.
Right?
Right.
A lot of money. I'd get you in the side door, Lynn.
No, I think you would be perfect. And we're going back to live conferences. So
yeah, they're fun. I've done a lot of moderating too, because see, this is the thing about having been a journalist. So, I'm doing a fundraiser for people with special needs, which is one of the art pieces I bought behind me, the green painting with the little tree. Yeah, I go make money at these places and then I put the money back in.
Nice.
To buy their stuff. I do. I have an elephant that's crooked over there. I got an off-center daisy over here. Whatever. What are you going to do? You have to, because you have to help. I help people.
Let's pay it forward, right?
I guess. I guess. I don't know. You just look at people, people need help. You help them. They help you maybe. I don't know. What are you going to do? You look at it. It's sincere,
Yeah. Oh, you're authentic and sincere.
Very authentic and very sincere person. When I was doing the special needs organization, which I do every year, they're great. But they have 3 New York Times bestselling authors. Well, let's keep this moving. Let's bring in some Q&A. Let's not like, okay, now coming to the stage, we have a New York Times, but torture people.
We don't want to torture people.
Don't torture. Ain't nobody got time for torture.
Right.
Ain't nobody got time for torture.
No time for torture. Now, in our last couple of minutes, I want to give you the opportunity to share anything else that's upcoming for you, and any advice you give young broadcasters, young comedians.
The blind leading the blind. No, there's so. In terms of if you want to follow me, everything's at Maureen Langan, LANGAN.com. You can see where my podcast, Hanging with Langan, is. It's on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, all the major platforms. And it's also at Patreon, which is a big deal now that supports the arts. Patreon /Maureen Langan, and that's subscriber based, but that's where you see all the videos. And there's backstage bonuses, people giving you dish the dirt. It's fun. Like they'll tell you more than they do in the original interview, which is also there. And also too, in terms of if somebody wants to do stand-up, you just can only do it. That's all you can do. Like just do it. Get up and you have to. And in terms of broadcast coaching, what's important for people, sometimes they go in with a message and it's right here. And they're like, our company, and they have it in their head written exactly. Find out first what you're being asked to be a guest for. Like why are they bringing you on as a guest? What are they looking for? And from that standpoint, have your 3 or 4 bullet points that you want to get across. But then just let the person lead you, like you're leading, like you know what 3 points are, you know what you need to say. And that helps when I do mock interviews with them too. I don't mock them, I do mock interviews because it helps people. And then they go, oh, it's a lot easier, because when you're on air or you're a guest or you're on stage, people want you to shine. Like you make them look good when you're good. So don't suck. That's it. Don't suck.
Perfect advice. And I kept my lips closed with you announcing your
last name.
Yes, because I want everything to go smoothly. Well, thank you. This was delightful, fun, informative, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
You know what, Lynn, the reason this was so good is because I am a remarkable woman.
Yes.
You are remarkable. And you know what, when we pre-gabbed before this, you're so generous, you're so knowledgeable, and so helpful in terms of how to make those changes and those pivots in this whole new world. So I think if people are looking for a career coach, and I mean this sincerely, I said to you, I'm going to reach out to you after all of this. We're going to have coffee. We're going to go to Central Park. We're going to talk.
Walking and talking.
We're going to walk and talk.
Well, thank you so much. Take care now.
You too. Thank you, Lynn. Bye, everybody. Don't suck. Mwah.